Please visit Kábíyèsí, ẹ káàbọ̀, ajé apẹ́lẹ́ ajé apẹ́lẹ́. Inú mi dùn pé ẹ wà ń bí fún ọmọ yín, ọmọ wa. Pẹ́ẹ́pẹ́ẹ́pẹ́ ọmọ tí ẹ torí ẹ wá dá lọ́lá náà pẹ́ẹ́pẹ́. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if I'm saying things that are not in logical order, you will have to forgive me. The first thing I want to say is that be wiser. That in Yorùbá land, wọ́n ní yìnyínyìnyín yìí a lè ṣe mí. You praise whoever deserves to be praised, so that you encourage him or her to continue to do more. I must confess, when I came here morning, I was really surprised at the amount of improvement that has been done here with this. So I want to thank and commend all those that have contributed to making this place a changed place that we have it. I was in Dublin attending the Interaction Council meeting when I received Dele's invitation card, putting me as lecturer and giving me a topic of how to end poverty in Africa. Really, maybe it was my own misunderstanding or your own improper briefing. When you came, you invited me, and I agreed. Until I got your invitation in writing and a card, actually a card, my telephone, I did not realize that you also want me to give a lecture. So when I got that invitation and I saw lecture, I thought, what should I do? Was Dele pulling a fast pan on me? My first reaction was to call you and tell you, Dele, I've fulfilled your invitation. But when you came to see me, it was not an invitation, or is it me that hadn't got it right? Then, while I was still debating in my mind what exactly to do, I looked at the card and I saw that my brother, former President Olusegun, was supposed to be special guest. Well, while giving me the hard task and giving President Jonathan the soft pleasurable task. I didn't know why. But looking at the card, I saw that Ruben Abat was going to be host. What did you call him on the card? You call him host. I said, why should I have to give the lecture when Ruben Abat, who is in the media and whose job is to talk, is not giving the task of giving the lecture? So I smelled rat. I said to myself, maybe Ruben Abat, and knowing Ruben as well as I know him, it could be part of the conspiracy that I should take on there. However, I gathered myself together and decided that, well, maybe I take on the task, because I don't know whether, as Dele used to be in the past, there's something that he found that I had done wrong, and he wanted to punish me. Because Dele himself knows that he was one of those who, one of the group which out of great and stark ignorance used to gather to abuse me. Of course, to my own delight and amusement for their ignorance, for which I sympathize with them. And when Dele saw the light, he became wiser. Well, some fine in dear Lord. Ọ̀nà káàbọ̀, ìjọ mẹ́ta ló fi ju Dele lọ, ayọ̀ kan nú ẹ̀ torí o léèkì. Ìjọ méjì, ìwò ìdọ̀bálẹ̀ mẹ́ta mo pé kó máa fún ẹ, àṣọ di méjì. Dele, take note. Dele, I was talking about you when you went to meet your senior brother. Maybe no. I said I was talking about you, your group, who used to gather to abuse me. And I talk of my own delight and amusement for your ignorance, which as I said, I sympathize. And when you, Dele, saw the light, you became wiser, and you told me so. Still, as I said, looking at that invitation, it was about it. And even when you heard about it, yeah, not too long ago, you could see that it could have been a conspirator with Dele in getting me here. When I took a look at the topic of the lecture, I shook my head in disagreement. How do you end? Yes, I will deliberate together mentally on ending hunger. Hunger is hunger. And you either have your stomach filled and you are satisfied, or you have your stomach empty and you are hungry. Well, they refer to what you may call my CV. And you know something about that. And it was right. I was born and bred in a village. And Yoruba man sọ wípé àtàpàtà dé, which is a man who actually had difficulty in his upbringing. And I used to say, in my own case, I am attere from day because any Torah latitude is still better than the one who come out of Koro. So my background, my upbringing was in a village where there isn't much to talk about. But we were poor in the village, but we were not hungry. That very, at that time, we were poor in the village, because almost everybody was a farmer. And the first thing you do as a farmer is to provide for your family. You were poor, but you were not. You would say today the type of food we eat, you would say it's an unbalanced diet. It's balance or no balance, we had food. We filled our stomach. And our case is like the case of the Ralonian woman who was a devoted church goer. She was a poor woman. Her dress was always very well done, very well dressed, very neat. So the pastor came and mounted the pulpit. Amada, Ìṣètẹ́ mọ̀ sọ, pastor tiẹ̀ kọ́. And the pastor then opened up the holy Lord God Almighty. And Mama Saro got up and say, holy, but clean. That is, he thought that the first pastor was referring to her dress, which has many holes in it. And then he got up and said, Pastor, holy, but clean. So we were poor, really. But the one. So the holy, but clean. We were poor. Now, I believe that poverty, as those who plan the program had in mind, is abject poverty. And that is poverty in which, in the worst form, or to the maximum extent, it is ignoble and extremely very, very hard. Let me, you will forgive me, this is the first time I'm trying to use computer. And then, if you know that I am BBC on before, now up to date. So, but when we talk of poverty, because I want to separate hunger from poverty. When we talk of poverty, it's relative. I said we were poor in the village, that we were not. A man with bicycle is a poor man compared with a man with a car. A man with Peugeot is a poor man compared with a man with Mercedes Benz. A man with a bungalow may be a poor man compared with a man with a story. So, I'd rather talk of abject poverty. And when I refer to our poverty, it was not abject poverty. It was poverty in terms of money we have in our pocket, that we are well fed, even though our food could be eba in the morning, eba in the afternoon, and maybe, if we are lucky, pounded yam in the evening. It's all carbohydrate that our stomach was. I believe that the poverty that we are talking about, abject poverty, where was to see people who could not even be sure what they will have for the morning of the next day. So I want us to differentiate abject poverty, which goes along with hunger, from relative poverty, which, as I said, you can say you are poor when you have one bicycle, but you are not hungry. So now that we are on the same wavelength, we can agree that ending abject poverty will end hunger. And ending hunger will have implications for ending abject poverty. Ending abject poverty, of course, will end, and ending hunger will have implications for ending abject poverty. If you really want to find solution to a problem, you must thoroughly understand the problem and all the factors that have bearing on it and implications for the problem. So we are talking of hunger and poverty. What really is the fundamental cause of poverty and hunger. Poverty and chronic hunger, as we lay both of them out, interchangeable for discussion. We must agree that they emanate from the same element, and that element is distribution of resources. That element is distribution of. God gave us resources for the world, for a continent, for a nation. How those resources are exploited, and distributed determines hunger and poverty. Now, if we move on from there, I would say no human beings are born without certain innate ability, which must be developed for personal, family, community, and national enhancement and contribution. It is when the innate ability that God has given to you, that we have it in the Bible. We are not equally talented. We are not equally endowed, but there's nobody without one form of ability or the other. The opportunity to develop those abilities also determine whether you are poor or you are not poor. Now, therefore, I go to the beginning of the day of life, which becomes rich or stomach, which becomes filled or empty. And what is it? The beginning is first security of life. That you are able to live, security and protection of life. Before you talk of food or poverty, you have to be able to live. And that is the first thing. Then, of course, part of being able to live is to have food security. Food, and I will only add food security and nutrition security. Very after what are able to live. But what I said earlier, education is the basic instrument and the basis for individual cognitive development, skill acquisition, empowerment, employment, and wealth creation and generation. Education is fundamental. Now, it is the first and most potent instrument to tackle and banish poverty. Yet, as it is for an individual, it is also for a family, a community, and a nation. If you do not have the knowledge, the empowerment in terms of education, you are handicapped. As an individual, as a family, as a community, as a nation, and even as a continent. Where there's no education, invariably there will be poverty. And where there's poverty, there will be hunger. Abject poverty, lead. Both are jolly good bedfellows, poverty and abject hunger. With education must be character, morality, and great attributes inculcated into everyone in the community, the society, and the nation. In such a group of people, or among such people, everyone is everyone else's brother, friend, sister, keeper, in an inclusive society where there is caring and sharing. And that is the African culture, African society. Then what has happened? I come to that. The people must hold themselves in the African culture of I am because we are. You don't stand alone. You are not I, it's we. Because it is we together. Ubuntu. That's the word, the first word of so at all levels, and in all walks of life, we must have leaders, particularly in the political and governance sector, whose character and attributes are as strong, commendable, and wholesome as recommended for members of the community, as earlier described. What attributes of love, attribute of we are together, attribute of whatever concerns you concerns me, attribute of we, attribute of community. We talk of communality, not communism, communality. And that is the way that we have what makes us together. You have a share, I have a share. Leaders must also must be the leadership. Yes, we need the leader to achieve. But the condition of provided must be appropriate, suitable for the leader, and he is also to be able for. But the condition, situation are not so conducive for man's with very advanced. Let us now consider the leadership issue, which is a very paramount issue in all human affairs, starting from the family, leadership, community, leadership, in the market, leadership, in the church, leadership. There is no human organization that does not rise for leadership. There's more particular in the political, because politics is the master. Everything that politics is the master. So what we need, who is a leader? Maxwell, a great expert on the issue of leadership, simply described a leader as an influencer. Then who, therefore, is the leader? everybody wants for, see, because you can influence. You can influence. So, first, we have attribute. We have what God has endowed us with, which must develop. And then that development in terms of education empowers. And that development also makes you be an effective or a bad leader, depending on the attribute that you take along with it, because of you can influence. Let's now consider leadership nurture. Leadership nurture, prepared and inculcated for continued good influence, and like Jesus Christ, going about doing. And at political level, good governance through good leadership. Since I have made reference to Jesus Christ, as it is said him, you will kindly permit me to use example of Jesus Christ, who was unmatchable, exemplary leader. First, his path was not shrouded in secrecy, lies and untruth. We know his mother. We know his mother, Mary, his father, his earthly father. They didn't make any thing about it, and how he came to be born. It was all put for us. The circumstances of his birth, and we know him as Jesus of Bethlehem, even the village where he was. We know of his childhood. At the age of 12, we are given his growth and development up to the age of 30 years, when he commenced his mission. A leader's life and history must be an open book. I told you about this thing. You know how I try to use it, but I will get there. Just after certification. This is the first time I will do it, but I will not do it again. Oh. Yeah, I was just trying to prove to you that I'm not as illiterate as people may think I am. I've been using computer, but I've now found that I've messed it up again. Well, talking of leadership and a leader as an influencer. So a leader, an influencer, and can influence what? Here. A leader can influence what? And can influence what? Here. He can lead well, or he can lead badly. So what then do we need to do to ensure that we have I've got it. What then do we need to do to make sure that we get it right? First, we must ensure that there's no lack of education. Lack of education for a child gives that child every high probability of being abjectly poor and falling into hunger trap. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude on my strong conviction and equally on strong warning. With integrity, discipline, good governance, elimination of corruption and waste, Nigeria can get rid of abject poverty and chronic hunger within a decade and a half. We have 24 children that should be in 24 million children that should be in school that are not in school. 24 million out of 244 in the world. We have 10% of the world children that should be in school that are not in school. If we are going to talk of eliminating hunger and abject poverty, we must get all those children into school. And as I said, I believe we do it well. In 15 years, we can get our population almost 100% educated in 15 years. But to do that, you need the right leadership. And if we have that, as I said, good governance, elimination of corruption and waste, Nigeria can get rid of abject poverty and chronic hunger within a decade and a half. If China can do it, China lifted 700 million people. I have been in China. I've been in their rural area where I live with people, poor people who, in winter, for heating their rooms, is the cooking that they allow the smoke to go under their bed. That's how they heat their room. But within a space of 15 years, China lifted 700 million people out of poverty. So we can achieve if all things are equal. And as I said, if China can do it, we can do it. We have human and non-human material to banish poverty and hunger from Nigeria. But what applies to Nigeria applies to almost all other countries in Africa. Nigeria should have no business with poverty and abject poverty and hunger. God has not made that our law. Rather, it is the conscious and unconscious choice of Nigerian leaders. And this is no different from any other African country in similar situation. That situation must be changed. Now comes the strong warning. If we don't take up the responsibility to take care of educating the uneducated and integrating them into constructive, productive and gainfully engage them within the society. The uneducated and the unemployed will take care of all small as unpleasantly as they can make it. We are all sitting on kegs of gunpowder. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. We should create no room for the poor and the hungry, because in desperation, their fury will be uncontrollable. The good news, though, is that God has endowed us with adequate resources in Nigeria to have no abject poor and chronic hunger among us. So are many other countries in Africa that are also richly endowed. Let me take one of the countries that is regarded as poor in Africa, DRC. Right now, I'm involved in the DRC. This is a country that has 9 countries at its neighbor that borders with them, and the sea. So, the largest in Africa. No other country in Africa is bordered by 9 countries. It's a country that has 2 time zones, the only country in Africa. The time in Kinshasa is 1 hour behind the time in Goma. It's a country that is 2.5 times the size of Nigeria. 2.5 times the size of Nigeria. It's a country that has about 1/3 the population of Nigeria. It's a country that has 60% of the cobalt, and if we are talking of battery car and all that, you need cobalt. 60% of the cobalt deposit in the world is in DRC. That's a neighbor of DRC that has no cobalt and is exporter of cobalt. There's a country, neighbor of DRC, that didn't have gold. It has 8 gold refineries. And that country, DRC, is still regarded as one of the poorest countries in how can that be? If all things are right. I was first in DRC on the 1st of October 1960 as a young officer under the UN peacekeeping. In 2009, I was sent to DRC again by Ban Ki-moon, and I was there for 18 months just to see what is going on. The problem of DRC in 1960 was still there in 2009, and the problem of DRC in 1960 and 2009 are even more there today. Now, I give that as a typical example. You can take any other country. They will be more or less in the same situation. It may be just a little bit different. So, what am I saying? What am I saying is simple. That leadership matters. And what applies to Nigeria applies to any other country. I'm not giving an example. Nigeria should have no business, as I've said, with the poverty. And this is no different from Malawi, Egypt, Zambia, any other country. Now, so we are all endowed. What matters is what we make of the endowment. We have no reason to complain. Why we are complaining is because we are not doing enough for ourselves. Why are we poor? We are poor because unwittingly we have chosen to be poor. Let me give another example. Some time ago, when I was president, there was a problem in Guinea-Bissau. And I was chair of AU. John Kufuor of Ghana was chair of ECOWAS. And then I said to him, let's go. And he said, where are we going? I said, we are going to Guinea-Bissau. Meet me at the airport. And he did. And what we have? We met at the airport. He came into my plane. And as we were about to land, he looked, everything was green. Water, green. And he said to me, hey, my brother, this country should not be poor. I said, my brother, tell me which country should be poor in Africa. And that is true. Which country should be poor in Africa? When we got there, this is a country, if you plant any food, any tropical food, it will grow cheap. We got to the hotel. We had imported grape. Not banana, not orange, not pineapple, not tangerine, imported grape. We had imported apple. So I told President Olusegun, I said, I am protesting. He said, how are you protesting? I said, I'm protesting by not eating this food that they put here. And that is the type of life that we give to ourselves. Now, I believe what God, we should pray God who has endowed us with all the resources, that you should also endow us with the provision of leadership for great leap forward for Nigeria and for global Africa. The leadership. Dele, thank you for successfully pulling a fast one on me. And if I know Ruben, as I said, maybe he has some hand in the conspiracy. But Dele, in all seriousness, on my own behalf and on behalf of all of us here and all your friends who are not here, but who wish you well. And especially on behalf of Kabiyesi and your senior friend who has lost, brother, who has lost one day from the 3 days that you were senior to you, I congratulate you most heartily. And I hope that 5 years from now, when you will be celebrating your 70th, you will invite me properly. And I will answer you adequately. And on that occasion, we will be able to examine what progress Africa has made in banishing hunger and poverty. Because until we are able to do that, we are not going to be recognized as right as we should be recognized by the international community. That I know, and I believe that you know. Africa has embarked on a journey of making Africa what God has created it to be, a land flowing with milk and honey. To achieve that, we need all hands on deck, and particularly the hands of our leaders, to make sure that we are able to turn God resources to our benefit. Thank you.
Now is when I will ask for another round of applause for Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Some people are not clapping.